This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
This beautiful buffalo is just nicely relaxing in the shade of these beautiful knobthorn trees. Actually, there's a oxpecker giving him a bit of a cleaning session. I hope you're going to enjoy joining us for this afternoon's live safari. Welcome! So there's a buffalo bull, as we mentioned, enjoying a nice relaxing afternoon on this nice sunny, hot afternoon here in sunny Pride lands. And we've been doing much the same, enjoying watching him. My name's Mike Anderson. Welcome. Behind the camera is Gert, and we're going to be taking you on the first portion of your afternoon safari. But for now, we're just going to watch this beautiful buffalo sitting under this tree. We might just get a glimpse of the lovely oxpeckers that are coming to land on them and give them a bit of a grooming session. Everyone loves a good grooming session. So you can see there's not just one buffalo, there's a few buffaloes around him around there. So this is about 6 buffaloes, big old boys. We call this our gentleman's club. They love to stay with each other and not move around too much because they're a bit older now. Now they don't want to be moving around too much. Much better to stay in the shade whilst it's hot. Once it gets nice and cool, they'll head down to feed somewhere. Right, let's send you off to some other antelope that are also lying down.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Djuma Game Reserve. We have something very exciting. Yes, we have a little male steenbok. And why is that exciting? Why am I whispering? Because they're very skittish and normally they get up and run away. My name is Lauren, and the thumb you're about to see belongs to Davy. And we're just sitting watching this gorgeous little steenbok. Now, we do see them a lot out here. We do. It's not that they're rare. They're just very, very shy. They're a type of antelope. And, they are one of the smallest antelopes that we get, along with the duiker. And because they're so small, it's more beneficial for them to be on their own. So they're not in herds like Impala. And it's a very hot day. It's 24 degrees Celsius and 75 degrees Fahrenheit here. So I think this little male is just resting, but he's not in the shade. So we are very much looking forward to answering all of your questions today. Get thinking of some good questions for us. Give us a challenge and send them in by email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. You're welcome to ask us about anything that you see or anything that you want to know about the environment out here. Now, do you see how this little male has got his ears pinned back? He can actually move his ears independently and also put them upright. And when they're upright... And when they're upright, he looks very, very different. But I think he's just trying to blend into the environment. That tawny colour, the same colour as the grass, he's chosen a nice open space so he can see and hear anything coming. And I think he thinks we don't see him. But we do. Isn't he just beautiful? With steenboks, the females are actually slightly larger, believe it or not, just like hyenas, where the females are the larger of the two sexes in terms of size, and we're actually on our way to go see my very favourite hyena soon. There was a batalier soaring in the sky. Davy spotted it, and I think it could possibly be looking at Ribbon's carcass. Okay. Can you not see it anymore? No, neither can I. But birds of prey, like battaliers, have great vision. And I'm wondering if they can see the carcass that's lying next to Ribbon. Yes, well done, Tavi. You see that way in the distance? Big battalier soar in the skies, wobbling unmistakably a battalier. So I think I'm just going to enjoy a few more moments with this cute little steenbok before bumbling to Ribbon.
Oh, that bird. Good afternoon and welcome to this particular piece of what is a fairly cloudy afternoon safari. There we have got a butterfly. It looks like a sulphur tip or an orange tip. I can't tell from this particular picture what it is exactly that BK, who is on camera today, has expertly managed to catch. Well done, BK. Advanced camera work that is. My name is James Hendry, and on camera, in case you hadn't realised and just kind of waking up, BK is on camera. We've also got a bird up there. You may talk to us during the course of the next 45 minutes if you are under the age of 18 or just over. If you're 18 and still at school, you can still speak to us. And you can do that using the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And for the rest of you, you'll just have to wait 45 minutes. That is the fork-tailed drongo. And it is looking for insects to hawk. I imagine this butterfly would be in some trouble if it found itself flittering about in front of the drongo. Here we go. It has probably caught a fly. And off it goes. And so shall we go off. We're on our way towards the east, yet again. For those of you who didn't see it this morning, we found Thandi. She was coming out of Torchwood, which is the reserve east of us. Thandi is a leopardess, aged 13. She's got a little cub. She was coming without the cub, and she made a kill yesterday, and that was stolen by hyenas sometime, I think, pretty early this morning, probably around about 6 o'clock, maybe just after. And hyena drove back to the hyena where caught up with a hyena and the once living but now very dead Impala. We followed Thandi, and on our way through the block back towards the east, we managed to hit a very large stump and bend a tie rod. And so that's why you didn't see us again. We will now be going back towards the east to see if we can, well, I suppose, carry on where we left off. Let's go up to the Kalahari now, about 2,000 kilometres to the west and a little bit north with Dylan.
Good afternoon. It's been amazing having you with us this morning at the Meerkats. I know we just can have a little bit of patience there, but this afternoon at Tswalu, we've got something really exciting for you again. And as always, Jandre doing an amazing job on the camera. My name's Dylan. So what our trackers have found, they've found that, you may recall, we've seen her a couple of times where they had a really exceptional case where we chased the steenbok, then she caught a hare, and then she caught a springbuck, that female cheetah with the two cubs. So she's up ahead here somewhere. There's actually a tracker in there at the moment following up. So I'm really, really hoping that we're going to get her. There's no guarantees, no promises. But I think it's going to be quite fun and really exciting just to stick with her. I know I'm dressed like a snowman. It's probably a bit of an overkill, but it's still a little bit cool this afternoon. There's a bit of a breeze blowing, more than there was this morning. But it's not like freezing cold. So I'm hoping with a slightly cooler temperature, we might even get some hunting activity. So that'll be quite fun to watch. Well, maybe not for the animal, but it'll be exciting to watch, not fun to watch. But let's go see what we can get.
From meerkats to mongoose, we have a model here. A small model. Posing for us, I think. Look at those sharp claws. Can you see them? Twitchy nose smelling us. You can probably smell my snacks that I have on board. The smallest carnivore in the low veld. Looks can be deceiving because they're actually very vicious when it comes to hunting their prey. And I haven't seen dwarf mongoose in this particular termite mound in quite a while. The last living thing I saw in this mound was a plated lizard. We can still see you. All the animals are posing for us today. I think it's going to be a lucky afternoon. You can see how much the nose is twitching. This individual is really, really trying to smell what's going on around. Where's the rest of your gang? It's quite rare to see a dwarf mongoose on its own. Maybe we should wait a little bit longer with this individual and see if the rest of his business comes along.
Here we have got a giraffe. Now this giraffe is a deeply ancient giraffe. It might be as old as the Sphinx. That is a joke. It is definitely not as old as the Sphinx. But I know it's old because its horns and the ossification of the skull, in other words, the amount of bone that is growing on the skull, is extreme. It's so extreme that his left horn is almost sort of been enveloped by the growth of bone around the skull, and his right horn, which you can't actually, sorry, his left horn, his right horn is the one that I'm talking about that's sort of almost disappeared. His left horn has got no fur on it on top or to the side. Let's see if he'll look this way. It looks bizarre. It's like it's a bare piece of skull. That is not a young giraffe. We'll just give him a little bit of time to settle down. And then we'll move and see if we can't get a better look at his strange arrangement of ossicones. That's what we call the horns of a giraffe. But if you call them horns, I don't suppose anyone will mind. Another very silent and very pleasantly warm winter's afternoon. Cannon, I think a giraffe probably eats in the region of, what should we say, probably in the region of 20 kilograms of food a day, a big giraffe like that, roughly, maybe a little bit less. It's about 44 pounds. But I don't know how many people have actually measured that. I'm just going by his weight. Let's go a little bit forward. I just want to see if we can get a better look at that strange-looking left horn. Let's go past this tree. Caitlin, they like to chew on the bones of deceased animals because, well, the bones of living animals are just a lot harder to get hold of than the bones of deceased animals, mainly on account of the fact that the bones in living animals tend to be covered by flesh and muscle, which makes the animal to which they belong run away. I'm being very facetious right now, Caitlin. They chew on bones in order to get two main minerals, phosphorus is the primary one that they're after, apparently, and also calcium. And you'll find they'll start to do it towards the end of the dry season. It would be unexpected to find a giraffe chewing on a bone this time of the year after a good rainy season, because there's still lots of green forage around for them. So I don't think you'd find them chewing on bones just yet. But as we get towards the end of the dry season, so sort of September, October time, then you'd expect to see the giraffe chewing, and not only giraffe, kudu, Ngala, bushbuck. I'm not sure I've seen an impala do it, but definitely those three species I've seen sucking on bones. And that's for the phosphorus and the calcium. You'll also find porcupines chewing on bones, and that's because they need a lot of calcium in order to form those quills of theirs. Yeah, strange his horns. I'm sad we couldn't get a decent view of the left-hand one, because all down the left-hand side, almost to his eye socket, there's no hair at all, no skin even. It's just this exposed skull. I mean, it's a little bit like walking around bald, yes, but without skin on your skull either. It's a life well lived by this old fellow. And interestingly, giraffes hardly sleep at all. They do sleep every so often. Apparently, it can be for as little as half an hour a day, which is quite phenomenal. The last time I had half an hour sleep in a night, I think I passed out for 3 days after that. Giraffe is fine with sort of half an hour of sleep. And what they do is they can do it standing up. Otherwise, they fold their legs underneath them and keep their heads up, and they sleep like that. They don't lie with their heads down on the ground. Right, well, our giraffe is going to disappear there into the bush, and we're going to carry on.
Someone who has not disappeared is our model. We're now on top of the termite mound. Still posing. Yes. Did you see the sharp teeth there? Very sharp, pointy snout. And they crush through the exoskeletons of many of their prey, including centipedes, scorpions, reptiles, through that thick layer of scales, eggshells. And we've got a great view of those claws. Now, I still haven't seen any other ones. I think this individual has maybe got lost or separated. Or maybe he's just home early and waiting for the others. Extremely social animals. They need one another. It's very rare that a dwarf mongoose could actually survive out here without the rest of the business. Business is a collective noun. They need their community for safety, for social interactions, warnings, breeding. Erica, you're asking, how do mongooses, you can actually use both words, defend themselves? Well, as I mentioned, they're extremely social. So it's a collective effort when everyone's together. And just like Impala alarm call, mongoose will actually do the same thing. So they can let off alarm calls that sound different. And it means different things. So if there's a threat coming from the sky in the form of a bird of prey, because raptors love to snack on mongoose, they'll make a different call from if the threat was coming on the ground. So they're very specific to one another. And what this does is basically tells the individual where to run. Okay, guys, the threat's coming from the sky, run inside, or the threat's coming from here, run this way. And they're very coordinated in their efforts that way. Now, we just took a look at those really sharp claws and teeth. So that in itself can help this individual defend himself. They have very acute senses, very good hearing, good sense of smell, good vision, and constantly alert. So I think we're going to let our little poser be, and it's now time to head over to their closest relatives, the hyenas.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Phinda. My name is Damon, and operating the camera we have Marcel this afternoon. And we've come out this afternoon into the beautiful rolling hills of the southern regions of andBeyond Phinda in search of a pride of lions. And just have a look at that wonderful scenery behind me, the mountains and the woodlands. Nice fresh breeze blowing in from behind the camera, from over the mountainside. It feels like it's coming from the northwest. And we've managed to find a beautiful big Kudu bull. He's decided to walk into the bushes, unfortunately. You might just be able to make out his body in that shade there, and he's moving through this mountainous woodland looking for fresh leaves to eat. Unfortunately, just as you guys came across to us, he decided to disappear into the thickets. But for those of you that have never seen a kudu before, I'll show you a picture of one in my animal book. And here it is here. So have a look at that. A beautiful grey coat with these white stripes that come down its body. And then look at those beautiful spiraling horns. So these ones with the horns being males. Have a look at this one. See how she hasn't got any horns? This one will be a female. Okay, so like I said, we are going to be looking for a pride of lions this afternoon. One of the other vehicles found those 2 lionesses from 2 mornings ago with their 5 little cubs. Apparently they'd killed a wildebeest sometime in the night, and so there's a good chance those lions will still be around there. We're going to head in that direction, go see if we can find them for you this afternoon. And as we go, we'll be listening out carefully or paying close attention to animals like this kudu, because if they do see a predator like a lion, they will alarm call. They'll make a barking sound. It sounds a bit like this. And if we hear that, we'll know that there's a predator close by. Right, we're going to carry on, see if we can find them for you.
Finished. Look how shiny it is. The second elephant looks like it's about to have its turn. Remember, everything to do with elephants is all about who's more powerful. They get to go first and have all the best of everything. Just sniffing around there where the big elephant was mud wallowing, just making sure that it's getting the best of the mud. I'm sure that larger elephant's going to go and rub himself against a tree now. And there's quite a few large green trees at the other side of the dam. Oh, get in that mud. Mud has so many good properties. You know, it can absorb all sorts of chemicals that might be in the skin of the elephant, as well as just covering up any of the parasites and keeping them nice and cool. It's another hot day once again. So, slip in and slide. We're about to see a face plant. Oh, he captured himself well. See, he's using his trunk there. The trunk is very, very strong. So it could even maybe use that trunk to stop itself from slipping forward too much. But right now it's just using its trunk to slather itself with that mud. Right, all over the face, under the tusks. See how it's actually quite interesting. It seems like it's actually massaging the mud onto its tusks there. I wonder if it's using it like toothpaste. Cannon asks, do both male and female elephants have tusks? And absolutely they do, Cannon. Male elephants' tusks, like this elephant you can see here, tend to be rather thicker than the female elephant's tusks. Female elephants usually have thinner tusks. They can also be quite long, but usually thinner. Remember, because male elephants are often fighting with each other to dominate and get a chance to mate with some females. So by having the thicker tusks, they don't break so easily. Look, and there's that big elephant rubbing his body against the tree. Now, we talked about the thickness of the tusks. Certainly males tend to have thicker tusks, but they also tend to have longer tusks. Well, sometimes they have longer tusks. It's purely genetic, so it all depends on who your father and mother were. If you're going to have long tusks, but the thickness of the tusks, males definitely have thicker tusks. We've got one elephant that we see here quite often. It's called Isleweenie, with massive tusks. Ella, you asked me how far can elephants spray water? Now, they can spray water a very long way. Now, they don't necessarily spray it that far with their trunk, but what they will do is they'll splash it. So if you see that elephant right now, it's just doing splashing. Sometimes we sit maybe almost 10, 15, 20 meters from the elephants, and we still get speckled with that mud as it throws it all around. Remember, they have very, very strong muscles in their trunk. So if it would suck up, 10 liters of water, and squirt that out, I'm sure it could go very far. I've been speckled with mud on a number of occasions. And I know not so long ago, Taylor was getting thrown with a few sticks by a cheeky elephant. So they certainly know how to use that trunk to have fun. It would make a great addition to a water fight, I'm sure. So now this elephant's going to go and join the other large elephant at that tree, maybe also to rub itself against the branches. All these trees around here are getting covered in mud, and again, the trunks are getting smoothed by all the mud that they rub on. Look, that one's getting a nice forehead scratch. I do love a good forehead scratch as well. Oh, he's taking a bit of a wide circle around that larger elephant. Doesn't want to mess with his grooming time. No, I tell you what, I wouldn't want to either. He is very big. See what it's doing? It's getting every part of its body scratched. Now it's really scratching. That's like scratching the bottom of your nose. I know sometimes when your nose is scratched, when your nose is itchy, you just got to scratch it. And with an elephant, you've got a lot of nose to scratch. Oh, that's so cool. This elephant only has one tusk, it looks like. I don't know if it's just hidden behind that branch, but it looks like it only has one tusk. So we were talking about having large tusks. And now sometimes elephants only have one tusk, and that's usually because they got broken when they were using the tusk in a fight, or some other pushing a tree over, maybe showing off their strength. Oh yeah, it's definitely only got one tusk. It's like breaking a tooth. It couldn't have been very, very nice. Must have been quite painful when it happened. But sometimes elephants are actually born without tusks, or at least without tusks that we can see, because they're very, very small. That happens sometimes. We sometimes see it, usually on female elephants. Oh, now he's just having a nap. Oh, look at that scene. That other elephant has decided that he just wants to have a good old dust bath. Right, well, you've got another very large animal at Phinda. Let's show you a rhino.
Welcome back, everyone. We've literally moved about 10 meters from where we left that Kudu bull disappearing into the thickets, and we've managed to find a beautiful white rhino and her tiny little calf. Now, you might only be able to see the mother for now, because the little one is just to the right of her, concealed in some thick bushes. And I think for the time being, just looking at how still they're standing, see how that rhino is just standing there with her ears facing towards us. These rhinos would have spent the day resting in some of these thickets around here. Have a look at how that rhino on her sides has two different colors to her. She's got a light gray on her back, and then further down her body, see how it's a bit darker. And that's from where she's been lying in a mud wallow to cool off. Now, it hasn't been a super warm day, but the sun has been pretty intense. And so this rhino and her little one would have gone to a waterhole or a mud wallow and lain down in it to cool off a little bit. Look at those little birds. hopping all over her back. And that one going into her ear even. Obviously she didn't like it. She wiggled her ear to chase that little bird away. And those little birds are called oxpeckers. And they'll sit on the backs of herbivores like these rhino to pick the ticks off of them. Harry, you are 12 years old and you're asking how fast a rhino can run. Harry, at maximum speed, a white rhino, which is this kind of rhino, can run at about 40 kilometers an hour, which is, I think, just less than 30 miles per hour. Look again, that oxpecker trying to go into the rhino's ear, and the rhino not having anything of it. Now, okay, so we spoke about how this rhino would have been lying down in the mud wallow to keep cool. Let's quickly send you across to an elephant that's doing the same thing.
So this elephant has just finished his mud wallow and is now having a dust bath. Now you can see all the light patches on his skin. That's all the parts that he rubbed onto the dusty ground. Oh, he's just disappearing behind a branch there. Well, there's another elephant, the one with the one tusk, that is still having a little bit of a scratch on the tree, on that beautiful big apple leaf tree. The leaves don't taste like apples though. Don't try them at home. So look, oh, he's got an itchy leg. I've often seen the elephants here using sticks and branches and stones to scratch the legs. What are you sniffing for, elephant? What's up there that's got your attention? It's amazing. Elephants use their trunks to discover what's around them because, remember, they don't have great eyesight. So they use their amazing sense of smell in order to find out what everything is around them, and also those huge ears help them to listen to all that's around them. I think this elephant has probably heard the rest of the elephants in the distance and is going off to join them. You can hear from very far away. With those big ears, I'm sure you can hear lots and lots of things. I've had a good scratch. See how his ears are open there? The ears often open like that also to cool down. It's covered itself in that mud, and now as it evaporates, as it cools him, he opens his ears so that all that cool air can reach behind the elephant's ears, which will help to cool his whole body down. Sauntering off. Taj has asked if elephants ever drink water straight through their trunks. Taj, I don't know if you've ever gone swimming and you've accidentally breathed in with your nose and you get a terrible headache and then you cough and splutter. I think the same thing would happen to an elephant because, remember, the elephant's nose is just like our nose, a slightly different shape, but they suck the water into the nose and then squirt it into their mouth. If they ever sucked it straight up through their nose, it would probably be quite uncomfortable. But the way these elephants bathe in the water sometimes, I'm sure quite a lot of them have definitely sucked a bit of water up their noses before. I know I certainly have a few times, and it's very unpleasant. But it doesn't stop them. When you got to play in the water, you got to play in the water. They say elephants have long memories, but maybe not when it comes to things that are fun. You forget that sometimes water up the nose is not so nice. So no, Taj, they don't drink water straight up their nose. It would be interesting if they did, though. Right, what I'm going to do is watch this elephant as it wanders off into the African bush.
Under the hot African sun, we have a very full, bulging hyena known as Ribbon, our matriarch. Now, she's in the exact same place, bar a meter or two, than this morning. The carcass is still there. I think she's had another little nibble, or nibble is definitely not the right word. She's had another chunk of the carcass, and she's hot, panting, and fully sleeping. Now, we just wanted to check on her. What I think I'm going to do today, my plan, doesn't always go to plan out here in the wild, but is to bumble around nearby and then come back and check on her, and then take another bumble and then come back and check, because I see no sign of cubs whatsoever. But I also find it quite unusual that Ribbon's chosen to come to this den if the cubs were not inside. So I'm a bit puzzled. She's obviously here because the carcass is here. And she's not moving anywhere because she physically can't due to that ginormous belly. So I think, because I'm so desperate to solve the mystery of the cubs, I'm going to maybe check Treehouse Dam, then come back, then maybe check another location and come back, and that's how I'm going to play this afternoon. The cubs have to be somewhere. Now, when you drive past this den on the other side, you can smell hyena. Definitely smell fresh, delicious hyena. So I wonder if we're just not timing it right. So we are going to bumble for now, but I promise you we'll be back soon with Sleepy Ribbon.
We're still with our rhinos, everybody, and we did get a brief little glimpse of that calf. But I think it might have actually lain down. Okay, apparently Marcel's saying you guys can just see its back sticking up above the long grass. So lying nice and close to its mother for protection. Of course, Mom being as big as she is, that's where he'll be safe, close to her side. Look how she's swiveling around. It's quite comical to watch. We can't see her eyes or her face or her horns. Just her little ears swiveling around above the long grass. And look at how they move independently of one another, so that she can listen all around her. Of course, for a rhino, it's a bit more of a movement to turn around than it would be for you or I. I mean, if we heard something behind us, we could just twist around. For a rhino, that's a very long body that she's got to turn around in 360 degrees. So those rotating ears just help her to keep a 360 degree awareness all about herself. Oh, she's lifting her head. Caitlin, you are asking if, since lockdown started, if there's been an increase in or decrease in the rate of rhino poaching. And Caitlin, I can speak from, so listening or hearing from the anti-poaching officials from the Kruger, which is where arguably some of the worst rhino poaching in the country is happening. Or that's at least the area that we always hear about in the news. From what I heard, apparently the rate had decreased. And speaking of rhinos, so some of you may be wondering why we are showing rhinos on WildEarth, and the reason that we're doing it here from andBeyond Phinda is because of the steps that we've taken to protect our rhinos here. So we have a very strong anti-poaching team that is with people and vehicles and intelligence out all the time. We have a very good relationship with the communities that surround us, and they make sure that they help us to protect our rhinos against the threat of poachers. And then in addition to that, it's tough to see now, but if this rhino were to lift her head, you'll notice that she hasn't got a horn. And the reason for that is that we've taken the decision to dehorn all of our rhinos here at Phinda to keep them safe from rhino poachers. Of course, it's the horn that poachers are after, so if a rhino doesn't have a horn, it will have no value to a poacher. And that process doesn't hurt the rhinos at all, and it hasn't influenced their behavior as far as we've been studying them obviously very carefully, and we haven't noticed any behavioral changes in them. Okay, these rhinos seem like they are pretty set on resting in their little thicket. So I think we'll maybe give them a few more minutes to see if they do move out. But in the meantime, while we wait, we'll send you across to have a look at some prowling cheetah.
Okay, this is ridiculously exciting. This cheetah that we're on here now is actually following a sengi. It's following a sengi, a little sengi inside this bush over here. A sengi came running out from here. I can't believe, I was so excited. It ran straight into this thicket over here, and then this young cheetah is actually twigged onto it. It's not going to catch it. The chance of it catching that sengi is about 1,000,000,000 to 1. But it was just fantastic to see that it actually twigged onto it. When it saw the movement, it went straight in there and started looking for it. Okay, now it's just lost interest now. Oh, no, it's actually still. That was absolutely, I'm really sorry we missed that. It happened so fast. There's no ways. We didn't stand a chance there. But, my word. Now, there's something I've never seen in my life before. Ever. And if someone had asked me 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, do you think a cheetah would chase a sengi? I would have said, nah, it's not going to happen. And yet, there you go. Yes, this is brilliant. So these are this is the same mother and two cubs that we watched a couple of days back, or probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I'm actually not sure. I'm losing track of time. And they're actively hunting again this afternoon. The last time Jeandre and I actually saw them, and unfortunately we were completely out of signal in that outside of drive times, was on a young Kudu calf. Tom, who's 10 years old, has just asked, what is a sengi? A sengi, it looks like a rodent, but it's not. It's actually a little omnivore. It used to be classed as an insectivore. So it's a little animal, tiny little animal about that long, and you get different kinds. Some are bigger, some are smaller. And it's got a long nose. I will draw a picture of one, and I will show you what a sengi is. That means I actually have to find a pen or a pencil. But I will find one, and I'm going to draw you a picture of one. They are the cutest things on the planet. And they love living in these kind of thickets over here. And I'm so frustrated because when we pulled up to this cheetah, I said to Jeandre, this is a very, very good sengi area. And just a minute later, one came bolting out of the bush. Anyway, we will find more. We are going to make sure we find more somehow. Okay, there you can see the female up there. She's actively hunting, so we're going to start following along behind them. Okay, we're going to try and worm our way out of here. And again, we'll always keep our distance behind them. The idea is not to approach them closely when they're hunting, it's to stick behind them at a comfortable distance so you don't impact on the hunt in any way. They're moving directly into the wind. We've seen cheetah on many occasions actually using the wind. In other words, on more than a number of occasions that you'd think it's kind of coincidence. I'm pretty happy that cheetah do use wind to hunt. Lions, on the other hand, if they're using wind, it's purely by chance. Jonah, who's 14, has asked a brilliant question. Will those plants survive being driven over? Yes, they will. So all of these plants are well adapted to large herbivore activity, fires, and frost. So all of these things can actually literally kill these plants down to ground level, but they survive underneath and they regrow again. So going over them once like that is not going to have an impact on the plant itself. But it's a very, very, very good question, and it's very important to understand that you have to be very sensitive as far as you can be with this kind of viewing. Okay, so this is the mother hunting here. She's definitely using the wind, turning with the wind, and the two cubs are out to the right of you. Now, we're just going to stick with them. We're not going to go anywhere.
So we have now got the rest of the herd of elephants, and we've got a mama elephant over here who's busy digging for roots. Like carrots, you know, the roots have got all the good things, nutrients and minerals and delicious, tasty things, especially when everything is so dry. And oh, wow. Look how strong she is. And look at the tiny little baby behind her. This little baby is just watching everything that mama does. Also getting a bit of a dust bath. That is so super cute. So look what she's doing. Look how she uses her foot as a lever to crush and break those roots. And now she's just going to break it off and chew it like a carrot and spit out the woody part that she doesn't like. She just wants the juices, the sugary sweet juices inside the roots. She does not want the actual woody part. And look how the baby comes right in under the mama there. She is also using her feet as well. Wonderful, kids. Thank you so much for all the questions you sent in. We really, really enjoyed them. Questions are now open to everyone. So watch that wood as it goes in her mouth. She chews it and then drops it on the ground, and then she'll go and pick up another new piece. And this little baby, look what it's doing. It's trying to copy the mother. That's amazing. It doesn't even have full control of its trunk yet. It's so small, but it's just trying to be just like mum. Putting that piece of branch that it's trying to chew on is actually no good. It's a dry, dead piece of stick. But mama's doing it. She's obviously something good there. And you see how it's using its little feet to try and push that little tiny branch and try and crack it open as well. That's amazing. Now mama's going to go for some grass. I would like to see if the baby now grabs some grass. Oh, sweet, man. So, look how small it is. The mum's trunk is basically the same size as that whole elephant. This elephant is probably, well, it's definitely under a year old. Doesn't even know how to use its trunk yet. One of the ways we can tell how old an elephant is generally whether they can fit under the mother or not. Then it must be under a year old. So this little elephant can fit right under the belly of the mother. So I'd say it's somewhere between 6 months old, or somewhere around 6 months old. When they reach about 3 years old, you'll see little tiny tusks starting to come out next to its mouth there. Then you know it must be around about 3 years old. I love watching them use their little trunk. They don't seem to know how to use it just yet. Oh, mum's walking off. Got to stay close. All of this is so important for a growing baby. They learn so much by just watching everything the mother does, see which is eating, which direction she goes, how to find water, how to dig up roots. And of course, this little one will still be suckling, so must stay close to mother so she can drink plenty of nutritious milk whenever she needs to. It's amazing. She's still got a lot of fur on her back. If you look very closely there, you can still see this little fuzzy fur on its little back. What a cute little elephant bum. So whilst this little baby elephant discovers all the beautiful things, let's send you off to a baboon drinking at a pan.
I have to say I'm quite surprised. We've just came to Twin Dams and the baboons were drinking. It's the first time I've seen baboons actually drinking water. Chakma baboons. A whole troop. We've just watched them all go past one by one. Adults, youngsters. They're picking up lots of fruit off the ground. Now it's winter, so there's not too much fruit available anymore. They have quite a varied diet. They're omnivores, which means they eat both other animals, meat and vegetation, from grass to seeds to bulbs, fruit. There's lots of jackalberries here. I wonder if there's old rotten fruit lying on the ground. Wow, that was so cool. Okay, I'm going to try and go forward to see if we can see the rest of the troop, but sometimes the engine can scare them away, so let me just go slowly. The baboons recently just broke into Tambeta, and it's not in a great state. They're very powerful animals and they can do a lot of damage to a property. They're going up the embankment there. You got them. Oh, look at that whole trip. That is a lot of baboons. I love the characteristic kink they have in their tail. Baboon's kink. All the animals are posing for us today. I don't know why we're so lucky. SG, you're asking what are the baboon's predators? Well, the main predators are probably leopards. Leopards have a very intense relationship with baboons. Neither like each other. Crocodiles prey on baboons. Birds of prey, like eagles, will also prey on baboons. Sometimes lion and hyenas, but I think more so leopard out of all the apex predators. And I think this image has been circulating for quite some time, but it resurfaced on my social media recently, and it was a large adult baboon with a tiny lion cub in its mouth, and it took it all the way up to the top of the tree. I don't actually know what the outcome of that story was, but baboons can be very naughty. And apparently it just started grooming the lion cub. It wasn't necessarily a very aggressive act, shall we say. Wow, that was such a surprise sighting. I'm going to head south into Cheetah now, and let's see what we can find down there.
Yes, my heart skipped a beat there. I thought they'd actually the one that started hunting. We'd lost sight of one of the cubs, which are the two that Jondra's got in frame over there. And then next thing, we lost sight of the one and we had the other one. Yeah, and next thing, they just started running. And I thought, geez, it's going for a hare or something. And the other cub came out around. So they were just, the one was obviously just stalking the other one. The mother is directly ahead of us here. I can't see it. I think maybe Jandra can see it from his viewpoint. I'm not sure. But yeah, they're still moving into the wind, actively hunting. And what's really interesting in terms of cheetah behavior, you think, oh, they see prey from miles away and then there's this stalk and a chase. These youngsters are going from bush clump to bush clump to bush clump, and I think they're actually trying to just flush out small animals like steenbok, hares, that kind of thing. So we're just going to keep on ambling along slowly behind them, keeping our distance. Caitlin, who is 14, has asked, is it easier for the cheetah to hunt in the Kalahari? Yeah, I think it's probably about the same as other areas. It's got its own challenges. You know, here it's a little bit thicker. You know, there's more woody vegetation over here where they're hunting, so they can get a little bit closer. But it also means that they can never build up to a very, very good speed, a very fast speed. And animals can probably evade them in this kind of cover a little bit easier. Whereas in a very open area, the prey can see them more easily, but the cheetah can also actually build up speed, and it'll be more difficult for prey to get away. So I think there's a nice balance there. Look at that cub playing with that stick lick. Super inquisitive at this age. Oh, beautiful. And all of that play behavior is designed around hunting. So that's stalking, chasing, pouncing, tripping, you know, hitting with the forepaws. But while we... Okay, they're playing with each other. Look at that, look. Oh, and they're running again. Let's just go forward, yeah? These cubs are super playful now. Super playful. I'm just going to get into this gap over here. Peter has asked if these cheetah have a name or a coalition name. So this is a female with 2 youngsters, so it's not a coalition, it's not a male coalition, it's a female with 2 youngsters. And no, they don't have a name. Watch, they might even stalk each other again and go for each other. So these cubs are about 9 months old, 8 months old, 9 months old. And they're actually capable of catching small prey even at this age, but I'm talking about things like hares, you know, the smaller things, spring hares even. So spring hares are a rodent species that comes out late at night. I've only ever seen them once in the day, and normally on moonlit nights you'll actually get cheetah that'll hunt. We're kind of on a half moon now, just over half a moon, so it's actually getting light enough for them to start hunting at night. Good question, Rosie. Rosie just asked, why are the back of a cheetah's ears black? One of the things there, it can be a following signal to other cheetahs. It's very visible. But also those black on the back of a cheetah's ears, black and white on the back of a leopard's ears, black on the back of a lion's ears. A lot of these cats have got that. And often when they are... I'm just going to pull forward a fraction here so you can see this activity better. No, they're actually just making it quite difficult here, but I'm going to just get forward a fraction here, and it might help genre a bit. Often when they're angry or when they're threatened, they'll actually flatten their ears like a house cat, and then you see that black and white very, very, very clearly. So it's a kind of a defense signal, a warning signal. The reason I'm not trying to get too close to them, I really want to give that mother in front good space. Because, I mean, she can even start chasing something from 60, 70 yards out. So I'd rather, although they're very relaxed with us, I want to make sure that we don't disturb any prey animals that may be up ahead. You really don't want to influence any kind of hunting activity in the favor of the predator or in favor of the prey. I mean, it's just got to be a neutral observation, and that's the key thing. So while it's fresh in people's minds, Chandra, you're going to hate me for this. Can I just show you? This is a sengi. This is a work of art sengi. We're auctioning this off for I have no idea what we'll auction it off for, but it comes as a signed copy. That's a sengi. and it's got elephant shrew by the nose. All right, let's go find these cats. That's an elephant shrew, a sengi. I'm never going to be an artist, though. Well, not a good one. Not a good one. Ode to a sengi. Okay, they're still through here. Nice and relaxed. Habiang has just asked, how much longer will these cats stay with their mom? Probably another 6 months, realistically, before they'll actually start splitting up and moving off. So, yeah, I'd say 18 months, give or take. Yeah, so, yeah, I said they're 9, so probably another 9 months, eh? So they've still got a lot of learning to do, and you could even see their size earlier compared to the mother. They're still considerably smaller than the mom. So they've got a lot of schooling still left to do. And this is the school of hard knocks out here. I can't see the mother at the moment. No, that's her there, isn't it? Yeah, that's the mother. So the 2 cubs closest to us, and the mom is the one at the further side. And I think we determined last time that it's a female cub and a male cub, which is excellent. Oh, but she's hunting. She's completely focused now. And you can see that black, in fact, the black and white on the back of the ears very, very nicely now. And that white and black on the tip of the tail. If you look at a lot of their cats have got that. Lions have got black on the tip of their tail. Leopards have got it. So the key thing with this is you always want to get like, oh, right to where the hunt is, but it's better to stay back. Rosalind has asked how much, I think the question was how much land can a cheetah cover when it sprints? So the distance they sprint is normally not that much. You know, normally kills over within 300-400 meters, it tops. But what is fascinating about the actual sprint itself, these cheetah can cover 6 meters from where their front feet and their back feet hit the ground to the next leap at full stride length. I mean, you go into your back garden and you try jump 6 meters or try run and, you know, play hopscotch and try to do 6 meters. I wouldn't get it right. So I'm not saying I'll play hopscotch. I'm just saying if you were to play hopscotch, I would be dismal at it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to carry on sticking with these cats and see what happens there.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. We're still making our way in the direction of where those lionesses had killed that wildebeest earlier this morning, and we've come upon quite an interesting tree. It's called a Bushveld saffron, and it's quite a common tree throughout the mountainous regions of the south of our reserve. Have a look at that very ashy colored bark, and then all of these long kind of branches that come out of the tree. It looks almost weeping willowish on the sides, and then look at how tangled all those branches are in the middle of the tree over there. Now, coming back to the bark, and I know it's quite tough to see because of how thick it is, but there's quite an interesting use for it. So here in Maputo land, where we are, here at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, the local culture and local language spoken here is Zulu, and 2 things that are very important traditional foods in the Zulu culture. One thing is sour milk, curdled milk, and the other is one of my personal favorite foods. It's called putu, which is made from ground up maize meal that's then mixed with water to make kind of a fluffy polenta-like dish. And the two go kind of hand in hand. A mixture of sour milk and putu is absolutely delicious. And what the local people will use this tree for is they'll take the bark and they'll actually put it into the curdled milk to improve its quality and improve its taste. So, pretty important tree culturally, and also a very pretty one. Those tangles of branches, perfect spot for things like leopards to hide in, and then of course this beautiful canopy that it casts. Just a look on the other side, there's a big shadowy patch, perfect shade tree for a pride of lions to rest under. So I think we're going to carry on all this talk about food and eating. I wonder if those lions that we're looking for maybe come back to the carcass and maybe started to feed. But in the meantime, let's go and see one of South Africa's most iconic birds. Hopefully when you come back, we'll have some lions for you.
It's true. It's probably South Africa's most iconic bird. Now the other one is a monogamous pair. It's the same pair, male and female, always here at Cheetah Dam. It's way at the other side of the dam. At the other side of the dam, we'll show you in just a bit. They stay in visual contact with one another. And they'll also vocalize to one another. Isn't that just gorgeous? And just like earlier, I was talking about the steenbok and hyenas. Now, of course, they're mammals. But just like those examples, the females are larger than the males in fish eagles, which is the case with most raptors, to be honest. Now, we have a huge herd of buffalo at the other side of the dam, so we're going to try and get closer. Sometimes signal can be a little bit tricky, but just over here, we have some buffalo drinking. So I'm going to go... There we go. Darby's going to give you a view. That's what we're going to try and get to. And let's hope we don't lose signal. She goes just over here as well, so they're looking at one another. They need some space, as all couples do, but still, they don't want to be too far apart from one another. Monogamy pairings in birds is very, very common. They actually estimate 90% of... Oh, hello, hippos. I was just having a little look there to see if the youngster, two of the hippos that I have seen in the dam, have youngsters, very, very small ones. I don't see them. Do you see them, Darby? They're all just popping their heads out here to have a look. Yep. Shall we just quickly say hello before going to the buffalo? We've got 1, 2, 3 hippos, and we also have 1, 2, 3 terrapins clinging onto the wall. Very large terrapins, actually. Oh, I wish that was me lying on my tummy sunbathing this afternoon. Now, because the volume of water in Cheetah Dam is higher than it's been in a very long time, means the situation for the hippos is a little bit easier. But as we go further into winter, the water levels will drop, and it can become quite tense for the hippos. Lots of competition, especially between males. Males will fight, and depending on the level of water and the number of hippos, there's a chance they could exceed the carrying capacity. Oh, is that the saddled bull stork, Davy? I have not seen a saddled bull stork in so long. It is. Next to some wildebeest. How fabulous. We used to always see two, again, they're monogamous, 2 saddle bull storks down here at Cheetah Dam, and it's been a very long time. Should we try and go forward? So yes, I think I jumped through a lot of conversations there. But going back to birds, 90% of them are said to be monogamous, but there's lots of scientific evidence now that suggests monogamy might not be the best word to use for the birds. They have a pairing, but monogamous, possibly not. Okay, we're just going to take one last look at this saddlebill, try and see if we can find its monogamous partner before going down to the buffalo. And as we enjoy all the wonderful creatures around Chitwa Dam, we're going to send you across to some hunting cheetah.
So this female was extremely interested in some gemsbok or oryx out to the left-hand side of where she is now. And she moved across into the front of us onto the road, and now she's going in. It was 2 adult gemsbok, so I would be very, very surprised if she actually went for them. But you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. The 2 youngsters have now moved off onto the right-hand side of the road over here. So we're just going to sit here a little bit and let the cubs come out and just see what happens. I'm just super reluctant to move the vehicle, try get into there to actually see what she's doing. We know she's hunting, and the problem is the moment you go in there and you start scraping the vehicle on bushes, it just creates a disturbance, and like I say, that can influence the hunt either way, so I'd rather give that a skip. Chandra, can you see them here or not? Okay, we're going to go forward into the shade, but we're not going to go after the mother yet, okay? We'll rather let her do a thing. Oh, there's the cubs coming out now. As long as we know where the cubs are, we'll find the mother. So I'm just going to carry on sticking along here, and just as soon as the cubs go to ground, we're just going to wait, and hopefully we'll get something. So yeah, so I think I'm just going to stick here for now.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. And we've managed to catch up with this lion pride. These 2 mothers and their little cubs. Look at how cute those little things are. One in the front lifting his head and looking at us. It's like, look at how it's draped over the grass, just on the edge of that ravine with its paws splayed and its face on that soft cushion of grass. So a reminder, please, if you've got any questions for us, we'd love to hear from you. Any questions or any comments, please do send them through to us. You can use the hashtag on the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter to do that, or pop the comments in the comment section on whichever stream you're watching us on. So like we were saying earlier, apparently it seems that these lionesses killed a wildebeest sometime in the early hours of this morning, and we haven't managed to spot the carcass just yet, but I've got a good feeling that it's somewhere nearby. All those little cubs with their bellies now pretty full. They would have eaten as much as they could early this morning, filled their bellies with meat. Their mothers would have done the same, and they've since been lying in the shade of this little ravine under all these lovely big trees, keeping nice and cool. And when we got here, it looked like the cubs were moving around quite a bit, so I'm hoping that while we sit here, they're going to start to play with each other. So lots of you saying that the cubs are so cute or so cool. They are absolutely adorable. I can't take my eyes off of this one in the front, the one that's looking at us now, sitting on the edge of that ravine. Oh, look at the one's just behind him. The one's got its leg on its sibling's body. Lilo, you're asking which pride of lions these are. So Lilo, these lions belong to a pride that we know as the mountain pride. And like we were discussing a couple of mornings ago, quite an interesting scenario that we've got going on with them at the moment, in that these two, so this is not the whole of the mountain pride. The rest of the pride, so here in front of us there's the 2 lionesses and their 5 cubs. The rest of the pride consists of another 2 adult lionesses and then 4 sub-adult lions. And the reason that these 2 are not with them, or these 2 mothers with their youngsters are not with them at the moment, is that those 4 sub-adults are quite boisterous. And I think these lionesses are concerned that if they do take them back to the rest of the pride to rejoin, that they'll be a bit too rough with their little ones. But we're hoping that now, seeing as these cubs are moving around so freely with their mothers, we're hoping that soon they'll all reunite, and we'll have the whole of Mountain Pride, 13 lions strong altogether. And with that pride, there's also 2 big males that move between this pride and another pride that lives on the other side of the mountains where we were with those cheetah this morning. But because those males move between the 2 lioness prides, I didn't count them in that same tally. James, you're asking when these little cubs will be able to hunt on their own. James, it's going to be quite some time from now. We estimate that these cubs were born around kind of the start of March. So they're coming up to about 4 months old now, maybe even a bit more. And it's probably not going to be until about kind of 2 years that they're going to be able to hunt for themselves. When they get a bit bigger, they're going to be able to assist their mothers in weighing down larger prey. So if their mothers do tackle something big, like a giraffe or a buffalo, or even something like a zebra or a wildebeest, they'll be able to lend their weight to help their mother or help the rest of their pride kind of weigh the animal down. But in terms of actually stalking and killing prey like warthogs and impala and the aforementioned wildebeest, giraffe, etc., it's probably going to be only about 2 years when they're able to do that kind of thing. Yeah, quite different to something like the cheetah that you have been seeing now with Dylan. We actually had a pair of young cheetah on Phinda that were orphaned when they were only about 7 months old. So a little bit older than these cubs and about the same age as those cheetah cubs that we saw this morning eating that grey daker. And so those cubs were orphaned only at about 7 months old, but yet they managed to make it to adulthood. They were fortunate that when they were orphaned, it was quite late in the year, at a time when Impala were all giving birth to their lambs, and these young cheetah were able to survive by catching and killing Impala lambs, and yeah, they made it to adulthood. If something like that would happen to a lion cub, it's highly unlikely that they'd make it. We're going to spend some more time with these adorable little cubs, and we will let you know if they do get up to anything exciting. But for the time being, let's go and watch some baboons as they clamber up into some trees for the evening.
So we've gone from cute cuddly cubs to some lovely little baboons who are very interested in something at the base of this marula tree. So there's been a couple of baboons now that have been digging around there. I don't know what it is exactly that they're trying to get to. These are chakma baboons. This yellowish sort of color, very fluffy fur, beady orange eyes, with these very expressive brows. And this one is busy looking for something in the grass. There was a much larger baboon that was digging there now, so this one is coming to see if that bigger one has left anything behind. Oh, disappearing behind some thick bushes. So baboons are much similar to us in terms of what they eat. Basically, they can eat anything at all. So from fruits and seeds to insects and even meat if they want to. And these baboons are actually heading into this drainage line now, which has lots and lots of large trees where they could probably get some green tasty morsels, or just rest for the evening, because of course baboons like to roost in the trees where they're relatively safer from danger. But these ones seem to have all disappeared behind some bushes now. We'll see if they come out again. And they were resting in the... In fact, I can see some just to the left there, Gert, in the trees, but not so easy to spot. Incredible camouflage and good eyesight. You can imagine the baboons sitting up in the trees would be able to spot anything coming. Oh, I think we've lost them. They've gone to hide. So if you look there in the tree to the left there, Gert, you'll be able to see them. But yeah, baboons are very, very interesting creatures. They're in these big family groups, and we've seen the baboons around here seem to be very, very relaxed with people. And so they don't seem to be very worried about us. There's one just on the left of the screen there, Gert. I don't know if you can see it. If you go a bit more left. Yeah, there's one sneaking. Oh, they're very camera shy. Look at that. As soon as we saw him, it disappeared. Wonderful. So whilst we try and see if these baboons come out to be on the camera, let's send you over to some buffalo at a waterhole.
We've managed to catch up with our buffalo, and they're very relaxed. We approached really, really slowly, and somewhere in the thicket beside us is an elephant. We can hear the elephant, but just can't quite see it. Catfish, you're asking about the difference between a buffalo and a bison. Now, a bison is only found in North America, and it looks slightly different. Actually, it looks very different to the buffalo. Now, water buffaloes are only found in Southeast Asia, and African buffaloes, or Cape buffaloes, are obviously found in Africa. So, the elephant's just here, Davy. I don't know if you can see it. That's where it is. We could hear it. It's just out of view. Okay, so it's in my view. I wonder if we could just go forward just a touch, and we'll be able to see the elephant on the left and the buffalo on the right. Bear with me. Let's see if we can do this. So yes, they're different species, but they're part of the grouping Bovidae, the larger grouping of animals. So they're similar, they're related, and bovids. My buffalo always... Okay, there's the elephant. We knew we could hear it, we just couldn't quite see where the elephant was. He's just one lone bull. So yes, you only ever find bison in North America. Different species, different organism, but part of the same larger family that buffalo are from. We've actually got a lovely grey heron over here as well, Davy. Everything's here. You see, just in a distance. Now, I just need to get my binos out because this is either a log or a croc. And this happens a lot. It shits with them. It's either a croc-a-log or a log-a-croc. Ah, it's a log. How fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to try and maneuver a bit around here to get a better view. But for now, we're going to send you all the way down to Dylan at Tswalu Kalahari.
So we've got, sorry about the technical difficulties there, but we've got something very cool. There's a couple of Impalas that are having a bit of a rut here. So these are fully grown adult Impalas, and it's past the rutting season when they should be fighting over females. So they're crashing horns. Interesting, they keep stopping every now and again. It's like they both know that when they're fighting, they're quite vulnerable to a predator sneaking up. So they'll fight, then they'll stop, have a little scratch, look around, then they'll fight again. Now, of course, that we start watching them, they're going to be shy. But there's a lot of males in this area, and they all seem to be getting a little bit rambunctious, getting a little bit interested in fighting each other a little bit. So what the whole point of this is, there are lots, right now this is what we call a bachelor group. So that all these male Impalas all together are waiting for their chance to dominate a herd of females. So Impalas have this harem structure or herd social bond where one male will dominate many females. And so these males are trying to fight to gain status, and then whichever one is the top Impala, the most powerful Impala, will then get a chance to fight whoever is currently in charge of a harem, and then hopefully win the right to mate with those females. Oh, those two are fighting again now. Let's have a look. Who's your money on? They both look pretty evenly matched. Let's have a look. Classic. The old, I'm not really that interested move. And then when one's not looking, he'll come in for the kill. So they use those horns very effectively. And it must be very painful because those horns are bone. Not like antlers that you get in deer in the Americas and in Asia. These horns will be there forever. So if they break off, it will never grow back. So they must be very, very careful. They need to practice a lot. See that when they're whipping its horns around, showing off. Millie, who's 9 years old, has asked, why do Impalas have these lines on their bottoms? Well, Millie, that's a great question. Now, one of the theories is that they are able to see those black markings very clearly amongst this pale vegetation, and it's a way for them to follow each other. Oh, I'm just going to let these Impalas do their thing for a moment. Wow, that's amazing. It's very athletic. And there are lots of other theories. Bigger Impalas coming. Watch out. The big ones want to get in on the action now, the bigger ones. So another theory, apart from following each other through the bush with those dark stripes with the white on the tail, it may be because the dark fur warms up quicker than the pale fur, all the ticks and parasites might go and cluster on these dark patches. And so when it comes to grooming, they can get off the maximum parasites that might be stuck on their skin at these warm patches of fur. So that's one of the other theories that I've heard of. So both could be equally viable. I mean, I definitely see them grooming quite often around those patches. Because remember, there underneath the tail, the skin is very soft. So there'll be lots of ticks around there. And of course, we see in color. So we can easily see those black and white marks. But it's even more distinct if you only see in a few colors, which these Impalas do. So we're going to watch these Impalas duke it out a little bit longer and see who becomes the victor. And we're going to send you over to some cute cats.
We're still sitting with our adorable little lion cubs. And if you count them, you'll notice that there's one fewer than there were when you left us. And the reason for that... Oh, look at this little one yawning. The reason for that is that one of the youngsters has come through this little ravine and has been very courteous in that he has shown us where the carcass is. Look at that yawn, look how cute that was. Big pink tongue. So the carcass is just in front of us, everybody. And we can hear that there are 2 cubs currently feeding on it. The reason we know that is because when the one that was lying down here initially joined its sibling, there was a big scrap, a big growl, as they fought over who would get which part of the carcass. And that comes back to what we were saying this morning. We were talking about when we watched those cheetah this morning feeding. We were saying how peaceful they are with each other when they feed. They each have their own little piece of the carcass. They don't fight over their food. Very different with these lions. While they might be very loving towards each other at all other times, as soon as they start to feed, they lose all table manners, so to speak, and they'll swat at each other and dig claws into each other, bite each other, even at this young age. I think though we'll wait here for a bit longer, and hopefully those little ones, when they finish eating, join up with their siblings and start to all play together.
Hello everybody, what an afternoon we've had. Such a trial. Our antenna gave out, so we had to go and get another one. But here we are, back out in the field with a herd of elephants moving down to Gari Dam to have a drink. Which is great, I think. Lovely, still, beautiful afternoon. And I think we know this herd because there's a tuskless cow and a tuskless calf. The quintessential evening African scene. They're all very excited as they come down to the water. Sun reflecting beautifully off the light. And you might just be able to hear the hippopotamus in the background getting a little bit upset that he has to now share the area. I think what you'll find, it depends on the situation, but it's highly unlikely that an elephant calf would become separated from its mother. But let's say something panicked them completely and became separated. The herd would do its best to find that calf again, and they'd do it with calling. So they'd make those loud rumbling calls that they make, and that would hopefully be able to and the calf would also scream and make those sorts of noises, and hopefully that would help them to find each other. So I guess my answer to you is that they'd mainly do it through sound. Our hippo is going crazy there. He's very distressed that there are other big grey visitors here. Except when we look at him. As soon as we look at him, let's see if he gives us another display. He's been tossing himself around. Here we go. Anushka, the matriarch isn't so much chosen as just becomes. it's normally the biggest and oldest female in the herd. And what I always like to compare it with is the situation in a hyena clan, where that isn't the case, where it's by no means a sort of democratic choice of any description. The hyena clan's matriarch actually carries with it a huge number of benefits and risks, but benefits. And so, it's kind of a sought-after position that dominant hyenas will fight over. Whereas in the case of the elephants, it's not. It's a teaching position. It's a leadership position as opposed to a, what should we say, like a gangster boss's position. And so there's a baby elephant shouting about not being fed. And so an elephant matriarch is there to teach and to lead, and not so much to get benefit from it. And so there's no fighting or anything like that. But with the hyenas, it's totally different. Because the hyenas, the matriarch really does get a lot of benefit from being at the top. It's better for her kids. It's better for her ability to get meals. The same doesn't apply to an elephant matriarch. This hippo is really giving us a show here, BK. He is not pleased. Look at him opening his mouth, almost certainly in objection. Oh, now he's spraying his dung towards the elephant. That is disgusting. And the elephant is looking on in what can only be described as bemused disgust. Now there's a young bull watching the hippo now, as if to say, come on then. You want to rumble? Let's go for it. Yes, Origami, you've answered your own question. A hippo's metabolism is much slower than an elephant's. They also aren't as big as elephants, and they have a more efficient digestive system. And all of those things combined mean that the hippos just don't have to eat as much as the elephants do. Nor do they have to eat as much as rhinos do. And that's because their energy balance is so low. All they do is lie on the bottom of the water, day in and day out, not doing a great deal. And that's very good if you're trying to conserve energy. It's very bad if you want to become a top-class athlete or write a PhD, neither of which hippopotamuses have ever achieved. As far as I'm aware. Sassy Cassie, as soon as an elephant feels that its water is threatened, it will chase the hippo out of it. And we've seen that during the drought when there was just that one small waterhole around here. We saw some horrible scenes where elephants chased hippos out of the water, and the hippo were forced to stand in the sun and have a very unpleasant time of it. So no, not really. Edward, difficult to answer because unfortunately I'm unable to hear infrasound myself. But there are higher registers and there are lower registers, and you know, some of the rumbles that they make, basically infrasound, by its very description, infra, means that its frequency is too low for us to hear. Our ears will simply not pick them up. So it's a designation for a frequency of sound that is too low for us to hear. I think that is the definition of infrasound. I don't know what the frequency is. I don't know how many hertz that is. And so therefore, to us, true infrasound is not discernible at all. But to elephants, or their rumbles, are not all infrasonic. A lot of them are just very low register that our ears do pick up. But they definitely make infrasonic sounds that we can't hear. I mean, I might be slightly wrong in my definition of, or how we define infrasound, but I think infrasound means too low for the human ear. But I could be wrong. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. Nor, unfortunately, the last. Let's just wait and see if this hippo pops up again. Does an explosive pop-up, or if he just comes to the surface and decides there's enough water for him on his own now. What do you think, buddy? You might go again. The elephants have now departed.
Stay on the playing ones, I think. So one of the young cubs has come back from its little bout of feeding at the carcass and has pounced onto one of its siblings. And that is what the two fluffy bellies that you can see there are. The two little cubs playing with each other. I must say, it's very lazy, half-hearted playing. It's kind of, they're pushing each other's paws in each other's faces and putting their back legs up against each other's tummies. Look at that. Almost playing lion footsie, if you will. One of the other youngsters feeling left out. Let's see if he goes to join in. Bongiwe, you're asking how big these lion cubs are going to get. Bongiwe, it's going to depend on whether they are male or female. If it's the little male ones, when they are fully grown one day at about 7 years old, between 5 and 7 years old, they will, or could potentially weigh more than 200 kilograms, 200 to 250 kilograms, and the females could get to between 120 to about 150 kilograms when they're fully grown. And they'll be about just over a meter tall at their shoulder, maybe up to just over a meter tall at the shoulder, 1.1, 1.2 meters in extreme cases. But for the time being, they're only a fraction of that. So lots and lots of growing for these little lion cubs to do. And just talking about males and females, we haven't had much time, haven't had much opportunity to spend time with these little cubs, where they've been kind of at a level where we can get pretty close to them. The only views we've really had of them up until the last couple of days, they've always been up high in rocky outcrops with their mothers, and we're now getting the chance to work out how many males and how many females there are in this litter. So far I've managed to identify one young male at least, and at least 2 young females. There are still 2 that I haven't been able to get a good look at. Look at that one lying on the edge, looking down into the ravine. So Blanche, you're asking how old a lion cub will be when it starts to grow its mane. So little male lion cubs, the age at which they start to grow their manes depends very much on their genetics, but on average it's normally at about a year old. And then you start to see little tufts of mane, and it starts off as kind of like a blonde beard, if you will, around the cheeks. The hair on the cheeks gets longer, around the throat gets a bit longer, and then a little mohawk starts to grow down the back of their neck from the base of their skull. And from there it fills out normally on the throat first, and then spreads up the sides of the neck onto the back of the neck, and by the time he's fully grown, his mane will stretch all the way down his neck in between his shoulder blades and down his chest in between his front legs. It'll grow onto his elbows as well. And then again, depending on the genetics, his mane might turn dark black or dark rich browny color. It might be very red with black ends to it. Or in some populations, you get male lions whose manes stay blonde for most of their lives, and they have long, bushy, blondie, brown coloured manes. Oh, look at this little lion cub stalking. Stalking its siblings. This is going to be fantastic if he tries to pounce on his siblings. Look at how careful it's being, placing its paws very carefully, tail tip twitching, gathering its back legs underneath him. Here it comes! Did you hear that little grunt? Shame the one cub got a fright. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. They are just the cutest little things, these little lion cubs, when they're so playful. Alright, while we carry on watching all these fun antics that these little lion cubs are getting up to, let's go and have a close-up look at an elephant.
Right, so today really has been an elephant day. Now, the elephant actually came too close, and we can't actually film him because he's slightly behind the car. But these elephants are all around us, and I'm just going to be quiet for a moment so you can just listen to the sounds of them feeding. It's really amazing. There's maybe another 20 elephants or so all around us here, and there's another elephant just coming up behind the one that you're watching now with a tiny little baby. So we really had a lot of elephants on Pridelands at the moment. I think we must have had about 3 or 4 herds about this size, so maybe more than 100 elephants in total, all moving around Pridelands at the moment, which is amazing for us. You can hear their trumpets at all times of the day and night. And these ones are being... Oh, hi, it's waving at us. Hello. How are you doing? It's good to see you too. I know that they are very, very hungry. We're actually close to what's called a drainage line, an area where there's a bit of water in a low-lying area heading towards a dam. So these elephants are just enjoying this greenery. So you can really watch them using their trunks to great effect to snap the branches and twist things around. Wonderful. So these elephants are going to keep moving slowly past here. We're going to watch and see what they do whilst we watch them here in this beautiful, beautiful golden light.
It appears that the little game has just ended. The one lion cub that was on top, the one that's now standing off to the left panting, seems to have tired and had enough. Here it comes, coming up to the edge of this little ravine and urinating. Funny enough, urinating on the exact same spot that its sibling urinated on a few minutes ago. Sassy Cassie, you're asking if lion cubs have ever seriously tried to kill each other. Sassy Cassie, I don't think so. Well, I've never seen or heard of that happening before. I have watched lion cubs getting into fights that well, at least to us, looked very serious, where there were horrible sounds that were coming from them. I mean, looking at that cub now, you wouldn't believe how deep, even at this age, how deep their voices are. The intensity of the growls that they're capable of when they're fighting over a carcass. And I do remember one instance watching, it was in fact this pride of lions, and the lionesses had killed a young giraffe in the night. And the lionesses and the cubs had eaten a little bit when one of the big males came along, and using his bigger size and his aggression, he pushed all the other lions off of the carcass and proceeded to eat pretty much the majority of the meat that was left. And once he'd finished, he walked away and lay down under a tree, and as soon as he lay down, the cubs all got up and rushed to the carcass to go and finish it off. And while they were busy feeding, the two young males, it was obvious that one was eating a portion of the carcass that the other one fancied, and they got into such a voracious fight where their claws were protracted, and they were basically stuck into each other's skulls, and they were rolling around on the floor, their tails writhing and swishing all over the place, and there was the most intense growling coming from both of them. And normally those kinds of fights with little cubs, it doesn't last very long. It's a couple of seconds and then it's over. But this went on for, must have been close to 30-40 seconds, and it was so bad that one of the lionesses actually got up and stood over the two cubs and started to roar. And pretty soon after that, the cubs separated, and they each went back to opposite ends of the carcass, carried on feeding kind of comfortably. And in the midst of all of this, the big male had lifted his head and seen what was going on, and ran away with his ears pressed back as if he was running from a threat. So from that day onwards, there was a joke amongst the rangers here that those two young males were the new dominant males of this part of Phinda.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to andBeyond Ngala. My name is Bunny. I have got Owen as our cameraman for the afternoon. We have searched around, looked for a Birmingham Pride this afternoon to try and help our fellow friend on finding the Pride, only to find that they've crossed to the reserve to our east. We then came back to our spot with Makoti Mail, where he is with his carcass that he had this morning, later on in the morning, and we're sitting with him just before we started heading back to camp. That young male lion came straight past the tree here. We saw him take Makoti Mail taking the carcass further away up into the tree. And he's brought it back where it was later on, but he's fed a lot on it. And we just got back here now just to see how he's doing and how much food is left. There is not that much of the carcass left at all. But since we got here, he's been looking around, so I don't know how far that young male has gone. But now, because it's starting to cool off, as we sit here and watch Makoti Mail, his behavior might be able to give us a tip if this male lion is still close by. Even in the morning, the only way we knew that he was coming is after watching Makoti Mail run from where he was, grab the carcass and take it higher up. And that was quite a smart decision from his side, because that male stood underneath the tree and looked around. Definitely picked up the scent of the carcass, but it doesn't look like he managed to see Makoti Mail up in the tree. So looking at how far in the branches he's sleeping, he's still possibly thinking about camouflaging himself so well that that young male doesn't see him. As you can see, even now on the camera, if you're not looking carefully where he is on the leaf, his camouflage is just too great. So every now and again, you see him picking up his head, looking around. He's very inquisitive today, but it might be just double checking a point to make sure that he knows what's happening around. So the plan is we stick around with him. Maybe we'll see him coming down to finish up most of what the carcass is. But in the meantime, while we're sitting here quietly, we're going to be keeping and listening out to hear if that young male will be calling again. On the background, there is a noise that you can hear, which is vultures up in a tree, which is something that he might be interested on if he didn't have this carcass here. But right now he's got too much of a full belly for him to want to go try something that small. Looks like he's not gonna do much right now, so we are gonna just sit with him and see. Looking at how much of this carcass is left, I don't think he will be here tomorrow morning. So one of the water holes that he goes to drink on, which we waited around there and hoped that he might come, he hasn't gone, so maybe he's gonna wait for the darkness to fall for him to come down and maybe go have a drink, because he looks like he's been feeding for most of the day. So while we wait with him, as we try to see what is going to unfold, as things start quietening down, we're going to send you somewhere else to go see a spotted cat that's about to find a meal like he has now.
Hello? 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 Okay, so this mother's been actively hunting. Sorry, that was my problem. So she's been actively hunting. The second cub is way out to our left. We can't even see it. But what they're doing, these cubs are going from clump of bush to clump of bush to clump of bush, actually trying to flush out little rodents, and amongst those, they're also flushing out sengies. They haven't had a single point where they actually caught one, but it's really, really interesting to note that behavior. And at one stage, one of the cubs dived straight inside a bush, and we actually, Jean and I thought that it actually caught the thing, but it didn't. But Mom has been quartering the entire time. It's been fantastic to watch. She goes into the wind, and then cuts back, and then goes in, and then cuts back, and then goes in. So she's zigzagging through this block, 100% using the wind. There's no question here. This has just been such an experience in it. Oh, it's been wow. I'm just going to pull forward a fraction here and see if we can get a little bit of a better angle for you. I have no idea where the third cub is. And we've just been sticking far behind her the entire time. The cubs at one stage also chased what looked like a steenbok, but we couldn't be certain. It was a little bit too distant for us. Miss Jenner's asked a really good question as well. Do cheetah cubs stay longer with the mother than lion or leopard cubs? Out of the three, in fact, the difference there, the key difference there, you should actually compare it with what do you call them, leopards and cheetah, rather than looking at lions. Because the things with lions, you know, we know the lionesses, the females born to pride stay with the pride. It's the males that disperse, normally about 18 months to 2 years. So that's kind of the time frame that you're looking at for cheetah youngsters. Yes, they're playing with each other now, running up and down. But if you compare cheetah and leopard, the youngest I've seen that I know of, 100% on Tswalu, of a cheetah a leopard cub being ditched by his mom is at 10 months, which is very, very, very young, even for leopard. But the big thing there is leopard are incredibly adaptable hunters, and they're not specialist hunters. So they will go for, literally, they'll eat insects if they have to. They'll go for reptiles, they'll go for birds, they'll go for fish, they'll go for small mammals, they'll go for large mammals. So their diet is incredibly varied, whereas cheetah are very, very specialist hunters. So that I think that time spent with mother is absolute gold in terms of learning that technique. So if you had to get a 10-month-old cheetah cub with you, that thing would be, I reckon, would be dead in a month, eh? So yeah, 18 months to 2 years, that's what the kind of time frame that you're looking at. Which, if you do compare it to lions and leopards, it's about the same kind of time frame for dispersal males on lions and for youngsters on leopards. 16 months, give or take. Beat has asked, how many cheetah are there on Tswalu? And our straight answer is we have absolutely no idea. I'm just going to move up here while I'm chatting. Our field patrols, they report we've got a coalition of four big males out here somewhere. We have no idea where they are. They're not used to vehicles. They just run if they see a car. That's just one of many coalitions that we know of. There's females with cubs that the guys constantly report. We were having a big debate last year. Just in this area here, there was this female with 2 cubs, another female with 2 cubs, and then that other female that we've seen with 3 cubs. So, yeah, we've actually we genuinely don't have a good handle on numbers of cheetah, but it's very, very strong numbers. Okay, that's out there. Like, again, I'll just reiterate, I don't want to get too close to them when they're actively hunting. I'd rather stick behind them and at a comfortable distance so that there's no disturbance. Inko has asked, have I ever seen cheetah hunting meerkats? I haven't. But that being said, if someone had asked me, like I say, an hour ago, would cheetah hunt sengis? I would have said, no, they won't hunt sengis. So there we go. So, again, Jandra and I, we chat a lot on the vehicle and that. And one of the things we're saying, well, a youngster would be triggered by pretty much anything. I mean, so if something crosses its path, why wouldn't it go for it? And there must be a record hidden somewhere on someone's dusty shelf of a meerkat having been caught by a cheetah. There has to be a. I'm always amazed just how well camouflaged they are. And with the most meager branchlets in the way, they can just disappear like a wraith. I'm just going to carry on sticking with these cats and see what they do.
So our little cubs look like they are starting to lose energy. Their bouts of play have become shorter and shorter. And it looks like they're a little bit worn out. As they should be after a day of eating and playing. Really takes it out of you when you're a little lion cub. It's tough work eating a whole wildebeest all by yourself with only a little help from mom. And And it seems like there's still one youngster that's actually feeding on the carcass in front of us here. You can just every now and then hear a soft little click or crunch. Zeke, who's 5 years old, you're asking if lions hiss, and so like a cheetah or a house cat will hiss in kind of as an aggressive sound to try and deter you. A lion will normally growl, and there's a much deeper, much more threatening sound. I've heard lions make a noise similar to hissing, but typically when they're going to threaten something, they'd rather use a growl than a hiss. It's kind of like it's a very deep hiss is the sound that I've heard them make. Oh, and just like that, all flat and fast asleep. With the odd little twitch of the paw. And they look so comfy in that long grass with their fat little tummies full of wildebeest meat. And it's actually a fantastic little spot that these lionesses have for their youngsters. There's as I've been saying, a deep ravine just close to where the nearest youngster is lying, and that is where one of the adult lionesses is currently resting. She's down there with another one of the cubs. The carcass is just to the left of that ditch, and I'm pretty sure that these lionesses will probably keep these cubs in this ditch for the evening. It's nice and protected. They're not going to get too cold down here. There's a bit of protection from it if there's any chilly winds blowing. Pranav, you're asking if lions are endangered in Africa. Pranav, their numbers have decreased drastically in the last 50 years and beyond that, but they're currently not classified as endangered, although there is cause for us to be concerned for their conservation or for the future of lions throughout Africa. And their biggest threats are mainly habitat loss. Lions need lots and lots of space over which to roam and hunt. And with civilizations growing and settlements expanding, people always needing new lands to graze their livestock on, kind of people's influence is expanding massively across the continent, and lions, the areas where lions are able to live are getting smaller and smaller. But for the time being, they're not classified as endangered. I think we're going to spend a little bit more time with our lions just to see if there's maybe one last little bit of play that comes from these cubs. And I think after that, we'll probably leave them be. But while we wait, let's go and have a look at a beautiful sunset.
Here we are at Juma Private Game Reserve on the western edges of the Great Limpopo Transfrontier Park, and the sun is going down. And what I thought I would do is sing a song that my family used to sing in the car when we were driving through wildlife areas, seeing not very much. And it's appropriate to this because of the smoke, which I shall explain shortly. It's a round, which means that the next person starts singing once the first person gets to the end of the first line, if you know what I mean. So by all means join in at home. We will be doing the Zulu version, not the English version. Ulundi uyashisa, biza umashini, umlilo, tela amanzi. Was that good, BK?
Yeah.
Did you think it was good?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Do you think it was very good?
Oh, it's very, very good.
Thank you very much. Anyway, those fires, I think, are just controlled burns, and probably fire breaks. So people are burning fire breaks for the onset of the fire season. Now, as the sun touches the horizon, we will do our traditional silence for as long as it takes for the sun to set, about 2.5 minutes, and go. But I hope that filled you with as much peace and happiness as it filled me with. Let's go across to Lauren now. She's got what has been described as a mopping hyena to me. I'm not sure what that is.
I also know who is filled with happiness. Queen Rib Robs. And filled with a lot of other things too. I don't want to know what is in that tummy. Now we've popped by. Situation remains unchanged. Actually, the situation has changed slightly. The smell is diabolical. I don't know if it's ribbon or the carcass, but either way it's not pleasant. She's not moved and no sign of cubs. Now, I had a chat with James about this morning. James said the cubs could be inside the den sleeping. Absolutely, of course they could be this morning. But this is our 4th visit here today. Poor Ribbon must wonder what's going on. And there's no sign. The cubs are 3 months now. And I just think they would be out by now. They will still sleep a lot. They're young, but they also have a lot of energy. You'd hear them. You would see them bounding around. So, unfortunately, the mystery remains completely unsolved. It's good to know that Ribbon chose to bring the carcass here. This was her destination, from stealing it from Tandy all the way down in Mulwati. She chose this location. But where on earth are the cubs? Anushka, I'm not sure I can answer that unless you're referring to today, because I really don't know where the cubs are and I don't know when the last time Ribbon saw them. But if you're referring to today, then yes, it is quite normal for them to be apart. Just like leopards and lions, the mums have to stay strong. They have to hunt, they have to eat to get nutrition, to provide milk for the youngsters, which is very nutritious for hyenas. And it is normal to spend time apart. Absolutely. But as for consecutive days on end, with regards to hyenas, that's not so normal. Now, for any of you that are maybe new, we did actually have an incident with the old matriarch called Corky, who got attacked by an Avoca male, and she got so badly injured that she actually left for a few days. And she had a youngster called Plonk in the den. And Plonk survived. At that time, we believe that he may not be with us any longer at the moment, but during that period he survived without his mother for quite some time. So basing on that, the cubs will be fine. But I would just love to know where they are and why she's not with them. She's not injured. Safari lover, very possibly, yes, if it's a clan member, a female. I'm not entirely, I really don't think she would leave them with a male, even if the males belong to the clan, the Juma clan. But a female, yes, especially the likes of Ntima. Ntima's her older daughter, who's approaching 3.5 now. And they're very, very close, mother-daughter relationship. And she would leave the cubs with Ntima. But hyenas do not allo-suckle, and there's no other lactating mothers in the clan. So we are going to leave Ribrobs for now. We'll try and pop back later if we can, but time is running out, and we're going to bumble on and see what else we can find.
Yo, look at how focused it is to something that we don't know what it is behind us. It caught his attention, it really jumped up, but whatever it was, it looks like he's gone to relax again. So it's a hyena. So he realized that it's a hyena, and he knows for a fact that hyenas can't climb trees, so he knows it's safe. I do think, looking at how quickly he jumped and looked up like that, that maybe he thought that lion was back in this area, but fortunately for him, not. So there is one spotted hyena which now is walking behind us, might come into the view shortly. Just possibly they've just picked up some sand, or he's just started his day on his evening patrol, but looking at the point that he is standing right behind us right now, not moving much. It looks like maybe he's got a little bit of sand as to sand of the carcass in this area. He is on the move again. You can see how this leopard is completely ignoring this hyena. Now that he knows that it's a hyena, and obviously he would have been in countless times up a tree and a hyena on the ground, over the time he's realized how safe it is. And remembering how quickly he jumped and how he came down to the carcass when he saw the lion this morning, in his lifetime he must have had some close encounters with lions, and maybe he might have seen a lion climb a tree before, which will explain why he tried to move that carcass as far as possible. So what we might do, depending on what this hyena does, we might just go around onto the other side, because there is a chance that there might be some scraps on the ground that might have fallen down when this leopard was feeding earlier on. And know for a fact, unless another hyena came by during the day when we were not here, or the leopard came down to collect, I know that there was a piece of leg that fell out when this leopard was rushing to move this carcass away when he saw that young male earlier on today. So we will possibly try and reposition and see what the hyena is doing below the base of the tree, because from where we are, we're a little bit out of sight, so we can't see that right now. But we are looking at the leopard. He is not bothered by this hyena at all. Looks like he's just gone back to sleep. So while we try to drive around to see if we can get any better view for now, I'm going to send you to someone else with a cat that's also flat like our one.
Welcome back, everyone. You've joined us just in time. One of the adult lionesses has jumped out of that ravine and she's laying down in amongst the cubs. And look at this youngster trying to suckle. How precious is that? Now, although we said that these cubs have been feeding on meat quite a lot, they still at this age will be suckling from mum, just to supplement their diet of meat. You might be able to hear some snorting in the background, everyone. There's quite a large herd of Impala silhouetted against the western skyline off to our left, and they have amazingly managed to spot these lions all the way from there, and they've been alarm calling at them for the last 10 minutes or so. But just talking about that leopard that leopard over there at Ngala with Barney, and how there's that hyena circling under the tree. The smell of this carcass here, I'm pretty sure if there's a bit of a breeze blowing tonight that it might attract the attention of scavenging predators like hyenas, maybe even if there's a leopard nearby. But I'm sure that with two big lionesses being here, it'll be enough to put any hyena or leopard off coming into the area. So I think if you're a lion cub, you can sleep safe or sleep soundly at night, safe in the knowledge that your mother's here to look out for you. Daniel, you're asking a very interesting question. You're asking at what age do lion cubs start using their Jacobson's organ? Daniel, I have... Lioness has had enough, rolling over onto her back. Daniel, I've noticed lion cubs using doing phlegm and grimaces from about 1 year onwards. To be honest with you, Daniel, I have not done any reading into how old they are when they start to use it. But in my own experience, like I said, I've seen them start to use that organ from about 1 year old. And they'll pretty much imitate their parents, their father, their mother, and they'll go up to urine or scent marks or dung left by other lions, and they'll curl up their lips and do a phlegm and grimace just like their parents. It can be quite funny to watch sometimes. A little male lion with his scraggly little beginnings of a mane going and doing a phlegm and grimace, and sometimes even pretending to scent mark after that as well. Look at that cub now lying on its mother's tummy, insisting that it wants more milk. And I'm surprised that the rest of its siblings haven't come to join it just yet. Ooh, speaking about hyenas, I can hear one calling in the distance. Can you hear that, everybody? Let's listen. Ooh, two hyenas. I think they might be just too far away for our microphone to be able to pick up the sound. But there's two hyenas calling to each other off in the distance. Like I said though, I think no matter how tempting the smell of this carcass is to them with two big lionesses here, I don't think they're going to come anywhere near. Look how that lioness is lying on her back. Her back legs in the air. Stuck in bed, you're asking if a lion's health depends on their environment and on their genetics. It will, stuck in bed. So a lion with weaker genetics is, of course, more likely to get sick than a lion with stronger genetics. And there may be genetic disorders that get passed on between lions that then might lead to one lion getting some kind of genetically, or it might inherit a disease, so to speak. I've forgotten the word. But then the environment, of course, impacts it as well. So during times of drought, when other animals tend to get sick and die, or lose condition and die, often you find that all those extra carcasses mean that lions' health is often much better than many of the herbivorous animals around. If there's less prey, then lions do lose condition, and then they become more susceptible to getting things like mange and other diseases. Sorry, hereditary. Hereditary was the word that I was looking for. Sorry about that, everybody. But yes, stuck in bed. So environment as well as genetics can influence a lion's health. I think, everybody, we're going to leave these lions for the evening. These mothers with their little youngsters, they'll want to be on the alert as the sun starts to go down and other large carnivores start to move around. So we're going to give them their space for the night and see what else we can find. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at a buffalo with a large set of horns.
Well, there we are. I suppose they're pretty spectacular horns, fairly standard issue buffalo horns, these ones. What's more spectacular about this particular buffalo is her ability to lick her own nose. Now, I know we've discussed this before. That was a really nice example of that ability. And as I've mentioned, I now know two people who can do that. Not quite as impressively, but they can lick their own nose. That buffalo is part of a much bigger herd that has come down to drink. There's the tail end of it now drinking at this waterhole in the northeastern corner of Juma. There they are. It's so lovely having so many buffalo around. Sounds. Hippo, buffalo grunting, and if you listen carefully, there's a crested barbet going. You might also just be able to pick up the sound of the little grebes that live here. Bika, there's a bull coming down to drink right next to the hippo. Let's see what happens there. They do sometimes, Dolly Greats. They do form a sort of protective formation if they lie down. You know, it's kind of how they move in a protective formation with the youngsters and vulnerable females in the middle and the big bulls out on the outside. Sometimes there are adult females in front too, leading the way. But then at night they will put the youngsters closer towards the middle of the group if they do lie down. Now, they tend to lie down on winter evenings more often than not, and then in summer they can be relatively nocturnal actually. So it just depends on when they're sleeping. And like I say, relatively frequently, you know, buffalo get killed by lions, well, I mean, I think relatively frequently in all parts of Africa. And if they just stood their ground, there's no need for any of them to be killed by lions, except an old bull that was injured and perhaps, you know, has dropped off the herd. Same with an old cow. But if they just stood their ground against lions, they'd be fine. But lions manage to panic them, and once they start to panic, and the lions get in amongst, then there can be a nasty mayhem. Just a kudu, there are sometimes more cows. You'd expect there to be slightly more cows in a herd than bulls, because you do get groups of old bulls that live together on their own, often away from the herd. Young bachelor groups sometimes move away as well. So I would say you probably expect to find, I don't know, let's say a ratio of 85, no, not 85, 15% difference. So, gosh, now my maths is really going to have to work hard. Let's make it 7.5 the one way, so 57.5% females and 42.5% males. I'd say that's what it would be. Right, I believe that we are now going to see some leopards on the move. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure they'll be fascinating.
So we've got two big male leopards here. The one closest to us is the dominant male of this area, called Tamboti Tom. He is the father of Ngala, or of Tamboti, or of Makoti male. That other big male on the distance there, I've never seen him before. He looks slightly shy. It looks like they might be right on the edge of their territory, because Tamboti Tom looks like he's escorting this male out. Every now and again you hear a growl. And you can see how big he is, being so close to us. But we know him, he's quite relaxed. The other male further on, I don't know if I know him, if I've seen him before. Look at how Tamboti male is marking his territory there. Just reassuring the other guy and telling him who is the boss here. But the other guy, I must say, looks bigger. So look at it, how he's staring at him and just watching and looking at him walk away. As much as they are on each other's edge of the territory, the smart thing to do is to avoid the conflict, because they could both walk away with a serious injury from this. I don't see the other male now. It looks like he might be lying just behind the bush on the other side. But Tamboti Tom now is just lying down, but just keeping an eye on him. We're just seeing the back of his head now. When I move slightly forward to see if you can get his face, you can hear the growl every now and again. So I'm not sure if it's Tamboti Tom's growling or the other one. But this is exciting, because Tamboti Tom We need him to stay and fight and win this fight, because if he loses, it means that that cub that is about a year and a month old, which is a cub of Ngala female, that cub's life will be in trouble, because Tamboti Tom is also the father there. Sounds like the other male is the one that's growling. So we're gonna start and move slightly forward. Don't get anywhere in between them. We're gonna try and stay as neutral as we can and keep our noise level down as we talk, just to hear all the sounds that they make. Go dog. Can you hear Tamboti Tom growling again? Tamboti Tom looks perfect right now. I don't see any scar on him. Even if they've had a little bit of a battle, he hasn't picked up any injuries from this fight as yet. But you can see how confident he is, how he growls, and he keeps moving forward towards where the other big male leopard is standing. Again, he's marking his territory just behind the bush there, as you can see. Trying to reassure who is the boss here. Hopefully, we'll see the other male crossing the road as well. Because if they go to our left as it is now, it's getting slightly too thick and it's getting dark. It might be slightly difficult for us to maneuver in that thick bush. Watch the other, look at how big is that other leopard. It's crossing the road now right in front of us. I don't know if I've seen him before, like I said earlier, but looking at how he looks like he's actually even shy of vehicles. He's keeping his distance, but if it means that he's trying to get away from Tamboti Tom, that works for me, because we right now cannot afford to have Tamboti Tom losing this fight. Then I'll give you one last view of them. They're still walking parallel to each other. We haven't touched each other, they haven't chased each other. But you can see where Tamboti Tom is walking down the path there, down towards the drainage line. I think this is gonna be it. The bush is getting too thick. It's getting dark as well. I think we're gonna have to leave them alone, and hopefully we'll find Tamboti Tom in the next few days, and maybe we'll see if he's we'll see if we see him next, if he's picked up any injuries from this fight, or if he's still not look as perfect as he looks now. We'll know that he's managed to win this fight. So we'll send you to Dylan now to see what his cheetahs are up to, and we're gonna leave these leopards to carry on with their battle. So these cats have just been consistently hunting. And she's moving, lying down, super alert. And she's been using the wind the entire time, quartering into the wind, back, into the wind, back, into the wind, back. The cubs are still pretty playful, as you can see, running up and down. There's one out in the open, you know. It is just quite tricky for us to keep actual sight of the animals. You know, we just because they, you know, it's actually quite open in between these bushes, but just there's enough scattered clumps of bushes here to make it a little bit awkward for to get the camera angles right. There's one just over there. We're just going to move around here and come around from the other side.
Just please repeat that question, MGN, something about the least of the big cats. Huh? Oh, so, sorry, that was my bad hearing there. Yeah, they spend a lot of time. It'll be a lot less than lions, but they certainly do spend a lot of time resting up. And I wouldn't say it's probably much less than leopards. I mean, leopards spend a huge portion of their day also just chilling. But I think the specialized nature of their hunting means that they've really got to be out and active. I mean, they've covered now, since we've been going, probably in a straight line 3 kilometers, but zigzagging they've probably covered 5 kilometers of ground now. So just because they're those specialist hunters probably means they have to actually be out and actually actively hunting more than others. Okay, we've lost visual now. So before this young man on the back of the vehicle gets mad with me, because we need to get this proper sunset shot of the cheetah sitting up on a dune. Let's try to find them. But it just shows you take your eye off the ball and it's out the park before you know it. Okay, they're down to our right over here. You got them? But this is like so thrilling because it's like they are actively hunting. You know something's going to happen. But what that something is, we don't know. So let's see. Okay, this is a cub over here. Okay, now that the sun's out my eyes, I can actually finally see what's going on here. But what a sunset, yes. Butterflies asked, are there any adult male cheetah following these ones? Not that we've seen. But there could be in the area. It's certainly not impossible. I mean, we don't know where all the cheetah are, so. But I'd imagine it's unlikely. She's not ready to mate. She's got these cubs at foot at the moment, so she won't be in estrus at all. So there's no reason for the males to be following them. We're just going to keep moving slowly forward over here. But this is so exciting, and yes, it's so good that you're all with us to see this. And again, all our colleagues have been having brilliant sightings. I mean, 2 leopards, that's fantastic. So yeah, I'm just going to carry on tracking these cats like this slowly, just sticking with them. Okay, there's one there. One there. I don't know where number 3 is. That might be Mom. That's a cub. This is a cub. So Mom must be up ahead here somewhere. Sometimes if the cubs just sit like that, it can actually mean that the mom's busy stalking. So I think let's just wait and see if that cub moves forward. Then we can move forward, because if she is in a stalk, then I don't want to disturb it in any way. The cub, one here and the other one there at the base, you can just see its chest sticking out there. Yeah. There we go. I mean, look at that camouflage. And Mom may be sitting 15 yards in front of us behind this other bush. I don't know. But I'd rather check that the cubs move, and then I can move. The average has just asked, what is the average lifespan of a cheetah? What we've seen on Tswalu, okay, there's Mom there. Well done. The oldest cheetah that we've had on Tswalu is about 10 years. Average lifespan in an area where there's like high lion density. Yeah, we've got a very low lion density here. But in areas where there's a high lion density, I mean, and that's a key thing when you're looking at a lifespan of an animal in the wild. Very often, and I think again I mentioned it a while back, is she's coming out straight towards us here. Often the lifespan studies have been done on captive animals. So animals in captivity saying, okay, well, a cheetah can get to 15 years, 16 years. but the lifespan in the wild is often considerably shorter. Not because they can't survive longer, but it's just because the wear and tear on them and getting killed by other predators is a lot more. The risk of injury is a lot higher. But this is a female in her prime. This female, it's her second litter of cubs, and she's now probably 5 years old, or 6 years old. Yeah, so she's still got a lot of mileage left in her. Look at the size of those back feet. Look at that. I mean, such a slender build, but just those back feet are just designed for propelling, obviously along with the muscular hindquarters, but for propelling that animal along at a ridiculously fast speed. One just walks straight past in front of the vehicle as well. Yes, it's brilliant. Cheetah everywhere. Nor any animal to catch. That's a line from a rhyme called The Ancient Field Guide. Okay, Mom's coming out again. She's right here. What a stunningly beautiful cat. Look at that. Oh, look, one right in front of us. One right in front of the vehicle. Hello. Hello. Yeah, when I start looking tasty something, then you must know it's really desperate. Or they were going to floss with me maybe after eating something else. Yes, it's beautiful out here. I'm just going to turn the vehicle a little bit to the left. Oh, yes. But what a beautiful time of day. Beautiful place to be. There we go. And it's just nice to see how relaxed they are in the presence of the vehicle. There's no... So, if she moves up onto that dune crest, that's a dune crest that she's moving towards. If she goes onto that, we won't actually follow up. It almost actually looks like she's stalking something. I just want to grab my binoculars and see if there's something ahead of her. Okay, there may be something that we can't see, because she's looking decidedly like she's moving in towards something. Let's just, oh yeah, we must stick here. There we go. I think she's actually trying to make an approach on something. Ooh la la, watch this, there's something there. I don't know what it is. I can't see it. But she knows there's something there. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She'll try, if it's something that hasn't seen her, she'll try to get as close as she can and then start running. But it could also be something that attracted her attention. And I have no idea why I'm whispering. But it could be something that's attracted her attention, and then she'll just try to get a little bit closer to confirm exactly what it is. But also the fact that the cubs have now stayed behind somewhere tells me this could actually be a very serious stalk here. So I don't want to move the vehicle, even though we're out of sight here now. Just trying to scan up ahead. Okay. Well done, Jandre. He's got a little bit of a higher viewpoint there, and he's got a good pair of eagle eyes on him, so he often sees things way before I do. But my prescription glasses and my prescription hearing aids should arrive next week, which will help me a lot. See, this is a point where you really are so tempted to move forward, but you shouldn't. And it's not about having to see that thing. You really want to just sit back and not in. And the cubs are coming out now. They're also very interested. Yes, looks like, okay, so she's moving out. All right, so she's, whatever it was that she was interested in, it's moved off and that, so, but just shows that you never know. You're going along quietly like that, and next thing she's straight into this hunting mode. I think we're going to I'm just going to stick here a little bit longer, and, oh, there goes a steenbok. A duiker was actually running off. Steenbok. Can you sit in the open there, Jean-Jacques? Oh, she's actually going to go for it. She's going for it. She's going flat out for it. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, I can't see. Cubs are waiting. Actually, that was a cub that went for it. That wasn't the mother. Okay, that was a cub. So I'll bet you bottom dollar that flippin' cub actually missed that kill completely. But that mother, that was probably exactly what she was onto there. This is amazing, man. Oh, wow. Wow. Hey. Yeah. So I'm just going to stick with these and see what happens further. Whew, nice.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everybody. Have a look what we found. We left that lioness, all those lionesses and their youngsters, and we carried on over the hill, and not far from where they had that kill, we found this male leopard resting in the road. Have a look at how thick his neck is. A big, strong male coming into his prime. Absolutely magnificent. And what a day it has been here. Well, I suppose at all the properties that we've been filming from for WildEarth. But myself and Marcel were just saying, super special day for us, being able to see cheetah this morning, lions this afternoon, and now a leopard as well. And just behind us, we did see a couple of kudu. So I wonder if this leopard is not, well, maybe did notice the kudu, decided that it wasn't an opportunity for him to hunt. We didn't see any young kudu, all adult females. But perhaps a little bit later on, he'll carry on following them to see if there's an opportunity to hunt there. Just so mesmerizing. Look at that coat, those rosettes down the side of his body. And we've been taking lots of screenshots. There's quite an intensive leopard study that's been going on here on Phinda for many years, trying to not only better understand the population of leopards here, but also the population dynamics. And so by taking all these screenshots, we'll be able to look at his spot patterns and try and match them with photographs that we've got from camera traps to try and figure out which male leopard this is. just gazing in our direction. And looking pretty relaxed. There's a lovely breeze that's blowing in from over his back. See, now he's... Oh, I thought he was going to turn the face into it, maybe sniff. Oh, as he's doing there. Beautiful. And marching off down the road on his way to patrol his territory and hunt into the night. What a special afternoon we've had. And I think to wrap things up, we'll send you across to Dylan at Tswalu so that you can see those cheetah that he had one last time for this afternoon.
WildEarth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the WildEarth family.
Yeah, so these cheetah have just been absolutely teasing us the whole afternoon. They've given us some spectacular viewing and some little heart-stopping runs there, even if it was only after Sengi's. I don't know if my heart was stopping on behalf of the Sengi or on behalf of the cheetah, or on behalf of our poor old Gendre trying to get the shot. But either way, it was very, very exciting. And I just have to say this straight out. Vic has asked, do we ever move cheetah to improve the gene pool? We have done that historically. Tswalu is a massive area. It's 114,000 plus hectares. And we got a lot of movement even now through the borders of the reserve. We get things like, aardvark digging under. We get warthogs going out all the time. We get cheetah moving in and out. So our gene pool is very, very strong. We've got a very stable population, or increasing population. Like I say, we don't know what the numbers are, but it's a very good population. So that's a great question. And those kind of management interventions will become, and not just for Tswalu, for any reserve anywhere in the world, become more and more important over the years. I've got to just say it straight out before we finish up, is the shot we're trying to get for Gendre and for all of you, of course, is this silhouette shot of cheetah on top of a dune walking, but they are just proving remarkably difficult to actually get this. But I think they might come out here on the left. There we go, Gendre, they're coming up. There, watch this there. There you go. Almost a look at that. That is Africa. That is Africa at its absolute finest. So again, I just want to thank all of you people that have taken the time to actually link in and join us on these drives, just from my side. And I'm sure, again, I talk on behalf of all of our colleagues and, the cameramen and that, and directors, and I'm sure. But it's just really, really is genuinely a privilege having you with, and to be able to share, look at this moment, to be able to share this with you and engage with you. It is just so special. So thank you for that. So I think we couldn't have gone out on more of a highlight today. Watching two cheetah cubs at sunset, playing around, rolling around. Wow. Have an amazing evening. Please all stay safe. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow morning. And have an amazing evening. Thank you.